Hey, welcome to Awakenings Within. I hope that you've joined us this evening because I have a special guest, and he's kind of a replay guest, and I can't wait for you to see him. But here's our intro. So, I am so excited to welcome this evening J Scott Macmillan. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop! I'm still dizzy from that subway ride. It's like
The intro is dizzy, isn't it?
it is, but it's fun.
Exciting.
It's like I'm on a subway or something.
You're ready
What
to
city
go
is
somewhere.
that? Chicago
Right.
or you filmed that yourself, right? Did you go to Chicago?
Oh, I wish I would have filmed that myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Kim. Nice to see you. Yay. If you've joined us, say hello. So, a lot of you already know J Scott Macmillan.
J Scott in the house. You know me as
He's in
Scott.
the house. He helped me way long ago during the beginning of the pandemic to start this show with Awakenings Within. And I am so thankful for you, Scott. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what's happened since the last time I talked to you, which was what, 2 years?
Well,
I don't know, year, 2 years.
I mean, in any formal way, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot has happened, but yeah, I just remembering like OG, like we kicked this thing off in the pandemic, and I remember, I know other people, your fans have probably heard this before, but it's just an interesting story where you were going to go to Israel, right?
Yes.
You were going to go to Israel, and you were going to be in Israel, and you wanted to do a live there, right?
Right.
And then pandemic hit, and you're like, oh, I'm not going, but I want to still do this. And I said, hey, I'll help you. Let's do it together. And we
cool.
started brainstorming, and we just started getting on like we started like 3 times a week at first, right?
Yeah. And we had another co-host. There was 3 of us. So we had Suzanne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we would do like, I guess we did 2 during the week during the day, and then we had the 7:00 one, right?
The coffee
at night
chats.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Coffee chats, right?
Yep. We had our
I
coffee
was thinking back some of the first ones, because I remember doing one where I did some sort of weird meditation, and I had everybody close their eyes, and I like, that was wacky. That was because at the beginning we're just winging it. We're just doing anything that came to our head, right?
Hey, and it was great. I mean,
Kim remembers that.
I look back and I go, wow. Yes. And I just want to mention in the beginning of this, before we get going, I'm used to saying hello to Larry, and unfortunately, I haven't been on a show to mention that he has passed away, and that's been really hard because he was one of our biggest fans. Remember, he would come on every single time we went live. So yeah, I'm dedicating this one to Larry tonight because he was a big support to all of us. So, to his family, if they watch anything, much love to them. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up.
No, that's rest in peace, Larry. Yeah, Larry was a warrior when it came to being on all the shows, and he would pop in and say hi and do all the chats.
He's a master networker. Yeah,
he was. I went to a lot of networking events with him, and I gotta miss that guy.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention it if people didn't know. Yeah, Kim, I guess you didn't know. So anyway, changing the subject. So Scott,
what?
I know when we met the last time and I interviewed you, and of course there's a big poster behind you, and I have your lovely book behind me. So what has happened with that, and is there any new books in circulation?
Well, thanks. Yeah. So, you were a great supporter of the book, and like the book, and it's it's been quite a ride. When I wrote the book, well, 3 years ago or so, it was really a healing experience for me. And I was going through kind of a healing and awakening myself, and started off doing a lot of journaling. And then it kind of morphed into this book. And during the time of that, I was doing marketing, doing internet marketing, and it wasn't quite fulfilling me. And I had thought, I bet other people could use this. And I have a training background, corporate training background, and I love to research and compile information. And so I decided to kind of make the book. And then I said, maybe I should be a life coach. And had no idea what that was really at the time. But I dove in. I said, well, let's go get a certification. And I went and I got a certification in NLP life coaching, and then just started networking. And it was a lot of fun. And
of course, you launched the same time I did, which is when everybody launched as a life coach.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. And so it's been an interesting ride. And, I've had lots of, one-on-one clients that I've really helped. It's interesting though. My book reads more like an exercise book, because as a trainer, I sort of really come at this mentality. It's like, you got to do exercises and you got to take tests.
No, I love that. I am a learner like that. So I love that you put everything in the back and you can write in it. And I love that. So.
Yeah. And it sort of has that flavor. So when I launched my life coaching, I really didn't do much anything in my certification. I pretty much just taught what was in my book. And when I say the word taught, I really meant that, because I would guide people through this hero's journey concept, which was the focus of really what got me on the path to healing myself. And then I would just walk people through this series of exercises, and I'd have them fill it out. And that was a lot of fun. But when I wanted to scale it bigger, to do online courses. And of course the pandemic hit, and I was trying to scale into, online courses, which was great. I had the course built and ready to rock and roll. And then, because there was maybe one or two other life coaches out there, breaking through that is difficult,
Right.
And so,
right.
So scaling that just never was really hitting the mark. But
which is a shame, because I'm still your biggest fan of this book. So everybody needs to get a copy of this.
Yeah, I still love to talk about it. I'm still, in life coaching, but there is a new little thing in my life, a new little business situation. And, but, I'm still doing both of it, still promoting the book, and love the concept of the hero's journey. I love working with people, but I always thought I was more of a teacher than a coach. And I think really good coaches are really good listeners. They ask a lot of really good questions. And I think I'm a good listener. But because I had this methodology that I created in the book, that was how I coach. It was like, okay, you're going to read this book and we're going to go through this methodology. And so I always thought it was more really teaching than coaching. And so that always kind of plagued me a little bit. So
Kim has the book. Did you see that?
Kim has the book. Yay. Well, I need to, I'll have to sign it. Because now I'm traveling. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but now I'm on the road traveling.
Exciting.
Yeah. So what happened was that around Thanksgiving, I had really been trying to scale this thing online, and just, it's frustrating when you put together a whole marketing campaign and then it's crickets,
Yes.
And so around Thanksgiving, I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. What am I going to do? Something different. And I really wanted to put a pause on it, but my brain needs something to chew on. I need something like, because I just am a voracious learner, and I needed something. And so I got into this little thing called cryptocurrency.
Oh.
And it's interesting because it happens to a lot of people. But what happened was 2 years ago, I was kind of gotten into cryptocurrency, and I was trying to find out more about it and like, what is this? And I managed to actually put $100 into Bitcoin. But the process of trying to find people that I trusted on YouTube and how to learn it, and it just wasn't making sense. It was frustrating. And then actually even buying Bitcoin was frustrating even 2 years ago. And I kind of just left it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so at Thanksgiving, literally, and I had been kind of following it a little bit here and there, but Thanksgiving, I really sort of just said, well, I need to like crunch my mind on something. So I kind of dove in and started really getting into it. And again, I realized, well, I looked at my Bitcoin and it was now $500. And so that's like a 400% increase. And I just had forgotten about it. And I thought,
Wow.
okay, that's kind of interesting. Let me look at this again. And so I started to dive into it. And again, I was frustrated by who was out there teaching it, and I have a background in training and education, and I love to write books. So I thought, I got to write a book about this. And I figured, as I'm learning this, I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did with the first book. As I'm learning and kind of creating on my own, I'm going to write about it.
Right.
And so I started to do that and research, vigorously about how would I lay out a book that, that would teach people that say like from 40 to 70 or 40 to 65, 70, that they're like, what is this crypto thing? And they're kind of nervous about it. They're scared about it. And they hear all these kind of scams about it. Like, what is this stuff? And that would be my target audience. And so I kind of dove into that. And I started investing and I started talking to people about it. And the next thing so I went to Mexico. So that's part of the story too, is that I'm sort of like finding myself like, okay, what am I going to do in my next, when I grow up? And
why do you have to grow up? What?
I had never traveled. Talk about not growing up. I had never been out of the country. I'd never traveled out of the country. And I
never had been out of the country ever?
No, I'd never had a passport. How could I never had a passport? I don't know how that happened. But so I thought, oh my God, I got to do this. And so I got my passport, and I had met a group of people that I'm in an online community with. And about 4 or 5 of them were actually kind of expatting and living and staying in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And I thought, okay, I'm going there. And I just flew down there. I didn't know anybody, but I thought, okay, this is going to be my Hemingway moment, right? I'm going to write the next great book. And because I love to shoot videos and do all this gadgety stuff as you do, I thought, well, I've got to take some video equipment with me. And so, not knowing anything about international travel or whatever, I went and got one of these huge Pelican cases with all this equipment and really like hard covered cases, and packed up lights and cameras and microphones and a whole bunch of crap, just thinking I got to have all this stuff with me. Right. And oh my God, did I learn a lesson going through customs? Did they see me coming or not? I'm wheeling my cart with like 3 huge bags of luggage. And they pull me over. And of course, I don't know anything. I've never done this before. And they're like, wave me over. And they're like, okay, put all these bags on this thing. And they got to search through it. And I'm like, okay, that's normal. Well, I have all this equipment in there. And he starts looking at the equipment. He's like, well, how much is this? I'm like, I don't know. How much is this? I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that. So they ended up assessing me and taxing me with all this equipment because I don't know. Later, I learned it was kind of a scam that not really a scam, but it's a way they can make money from unsuspected visitors, that they can tax all this.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was already just like totally exhausted from, a long day of travel. I get there and
oh my goodness,
go through this experience. And then I was supposed to have a driver pick me up. A friend of mine had, because they said there'll be lots of people out there trying to get you to take taxi cabs, and it's kind of crazy when you get out there. So we'll have a driver for you. Well, I get out there, there's no driver. And so I'm wheeling all my luggage back and forth, sweating because, I'm a Montana boy, so I'm not used to humidity. And it's like, I'm going back and forth. There's no driver. I'm like, what the hell? Finally, I decide to just hire a taxi cab, and I get there, and I rented an Airbnb. So I had no idea how I was going to get into the thing, what time I was going to get there, who I was going to meet. It wasn't like I was just going to be able to check into a nice comfy hotel and everything would be good. So I'm kind of freaking out. But that was day one. And so Mexico threw everything it could at me on day one, and I lived to tell the story, which was big for me because that was why I was doing this, like getting out of my comfort zone and just doing stuff that I hadn't ever done before. Kind of getting out of my comfort zone was the big thing, right?
Right.
And so I did that. And then, but the nice thing was my friends were there that night. They met me and gave me big hugs, and I'd never met them in person. So that was a lot of fun to greet them and to
Nice.
they're very welcoming. And then it was awesome. Then I just hung out with them, 3-4 days a week, and we all kind of were in the same group together. And I was trying to work, and I would thought, well, I work out of coffee shops anyway, so I'll just find some coffee shops and get in there work. Well, the coffee shop's a little bit different there, and I found that because I was out of my environment so much that I really didn't get a lot of work done. I couldn't concentrate and focus because I was just like so like amazed at everything and everybody and looking around, and just, like people watching, and it was a lot of fun. And so I got this cool T-shirt. I got my Day of the Dead T-shirt,
Day of the Dead. Yep.
which was a lot of fun. So it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. Um, I did make a few videos and things, but again, I didn't know what to focus on. And I was just writing about crypto and learning about crypto and preparing to write this book. And when I came back, got back like March 1st. So this is all really new. And with the thought, okay, I want to see if people were interested, because when I would talk about crypto, they're like, oh, what's that? And I've heard about that, but tell me about it. When I talked about it, and I thought, well, I'm writing this book. So I started kind of talking to people. So yeah, I'm writing this book on crypto. When I got back, I started to talk about it more and more to different people. And I got people, and I said, well, look, I'm going to create a course, on this. And I'm going to put this out there. And then I had some coaching, and I said, yeah, I'm writing this book. He's like, don't write a book. He's like, just go out there and find out if people are willing to pay for it. And so I did that. And lo and behold, people started throwing money at me saying, yeah, teach me that. I'll pay you that. I'll pay you that. And so it was just such a different experience in my life coaching, because I'd written the book, prepared for all this. And here I was not ready. And I was like, oh, I need to write the book, and, I need to like be prepared. Right.
Right.
And so I was kind of, coached into not doing that, and to just saying, hey, take this course, which I hadn't created yet. Scared the hell out of me, but I did it. And so I have 4 people in what I have now is this crypto training academy.
Oh, that's great.
Who paid me good money.
And that tells you something. I mean,
tells me something, right? And so I have, all this, like I had an outline for the book, but I'm just now teaching it and just finding out what people really want to know. And I am, gearing it towards, people that are already know about crypto or investing in crypto, people that don't know anything about it or have dabbled in it, but they're afraid and they don't really know.
And I think that's what it is. Where there's a lot of fear behind that, right? I mean, it's what I know about it. I'm like, what do you mean? It's off of a computer code, and then you go from there going, okay, I don't understand. And I've seen a couple series that one guy bought a house with his cryptocurrency. There's a couple pizzerias in New York City that they accept crypto. It's just not being as accepted as much. They're about to do that, though, aren't they, Scott?
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting thing about it, is that it's been around, for 10 years. Like Bitcoin has been around for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it came out in 2009, basically was created.
Yeah, and then there was the Doji.
Well, the Dogecoin. So it is interesting because that's really interesting contrast there, because Bitcoin comes out, was really unknown. It's taken like 10 years to kind of get adoption.
Right.
And it came out as, originally was meant to be a digital currency, right? So
right.
That, we could buy things with Bitcoin or whatever. Well, It's morphed into kind of a different scenario, because it didn't morph into, people having, Bitcoin terminals necessarily in all the stores. But what it's turned out to be really effective for is just a store of value. So it's like digital gold. So what I teach, and what a lot of people are doing, is it's not so much that you want to invest in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies so that you can now pay with cryptocurrency. It's more about investment right now.
Okay.
So Bitcoin really is like digital gold. And so I say for everybody should have some Bitcoin, because it's going to, over the years, just get, higher in price and higher in value.
Right.
And at some point, it doesn't have any inflation. So like dollars, they could just print dollars.
That's right.
Which makes the value of our dollar go down.
Right.
Bitcoin doesn't have that. Its value will always stay uninflated because you can't print more of it. There's going to
Hmm.
be, right now, there's things called
That's really
miners that
right. The
mine
miners.
Bitcoin, right? And in the
Right.
early days, people thought that you could become your own miner and you could mine Bitcoin, which is just a computer running a calculation in the Bitcoin network. But now it's not like that. Huge corporations with big, huge warehouses of thousands of computers
Yes,
are
I
the
saw
miners
that.
for this.
Yeah.
But really, no individual people can really do mining effectively anymore. So, but if you buy Bitcoin and then hold on to it, its value will increase. So that's the first thing. And then what happened was after Bitcoin was created, it was open source software. And so
Right.
anybody could create a new Bitcoin or a version of Bitcoin. And that's what happened. And it spawned
Right.
this whole cryptocurrency world. Now there's thousands of different cryptocurrencies that people can buy and invest. And
Right.
they're really like stocks because
Right.
it's a company or a person that says, hey, I have an idea. I want to create this new piece of software that runs on this blockchain network, which is the underlying network of cryptocurrency. And I want it to do this, this, and this. And you look at it as an investor like, well, do I think that that's a valuable product? Do I think it's going to fly or is it kind of a dud? And that's how you evaluate whether you want to buy another type of crypto. Whereas Bitcoin is like gold. Buy that, hold on to it, let it appreciate. Some of these other newer coins, like potentially Dogecoin, you could buy and it could go up and down and be
Almost
like
like a stock.
a
Yeah.
stock. The thing about like Dogecoin, it started off as just a meme, kind of like a funny, like
Right.
nothing.
Right.
But it caught fire, just like
I
memes
heard
do,
about
right?
it.
And
When it
so
first started.
at the beginning, people are like, don't invest in that. There's nothing behind it. There's no utility. There's no reason to have it. Like most
Right.
other coins that you can
Right.
buy, they have a reason. They're trying to
Right.
become a different version of a blockchain technology or something, and there's
Right.
utility behind it. So you're betting that more people will adopt it as the future grows, and more people will start to
Right.
use it, and it will grow, just like a company would grow in stock, and you would
Well,
invest in it.
that's really cool. Okay, don't tell us anymore because they should get your course to
This is my
learn
course. Well,
more.
this is just the pre stuff. So the
They
interesting
should
thing
they
is,
should they should get your course to learn it. But my question to you when
absolutely.
you were in Mexico, um, did you have any kind of spiritual awakening while you were there? Did you?
No, I didn't. To tell you the truth, nothing
No,
that I would
no,
consider.
that's fine.
Yeah, nothing that I would consider a spiritual awakening. Spiritual, if you will, but it was
Was
life
it right?
changing. Was life changing. So I suppose it's on par with the spiritual,
Right,
awakening.
right. Well, because you had an awakening before that, I was wondering if anything, evolved, that, there was an evolution of that. And obviously now you're focused in on finances, and that it just kind of is interesting to me because I always, I always talk about the mind, body, spirit, and so how we do focus on different things of those three at times in our lives. So now
Yeah.
you're kind of working with your mind, right? So on the mind part, that would be more the Bitcoin and trying to make investments and stuff. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
but
interesting.
the biggest part, though, for me, the life changing part was again, it was about believing in myself, about loving
You took a
myself.
leap of faith. You had some faith to just do something
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it was big. And what it's clearly done is it like infused this energetic charge in me. And I didn't even really realize it until the last couple of days, really, because things now are happening fast, like deal flow, like coming out of the woodwork about people that want to work with me in crypto and partner with me on this project and this project. And it's just that kind of energetic awakening, when you unleash that kind of energy and
Right.
you stay in that vibration, right? It that law of attraction thing is powerful. And what's interesting for me is that I've always been pretty intentional about that. Like I would meditate and I would try to focus and keep in the high vibration and trust that the universe was, supporting me. But when you get in the flow and that vibration is there, you're not even thinking about it. You're not even meditating on it. It's just happening. And I'm just like, even talking to you today, I'm just like, wow, it is just happening. And I'm just like trying to like stay in the flow and like, whoa, it's just coming at me. So it's,
Right.
I do think that getting out of my comfort zone and breaking that sort of cycle, because through the pandemic, I really didn't do anything. And I really lost a lot of, I like sort of my friend base, kind of haven't really touched base with them. And so for me, this was all of that. And I connected with a group of people that I really enjoyed and connected with and loved that community. And when I got back from Mexico, I was like, oh, it feels good to be back in my comfort zone, kind of, because I definitely was out of my comfort zone a lot there. And
Right.
it felt comfortable until about 3 weeks afterwards. And then I'm like, oh, I'm like bored now, or I need that rush of something, new again. But what it was
Well,
really community. And so it's interesting. So the latest thing I've just done is joined a travel club, and I wanted this community. I wanted to travel and have that excitement, but I'm like, well, I don't want to go to a bunch of places by myself. So what these travel clubs do is you have a community of people that will travel together all over places all over the world. And
that's really
so
cool.
that's fairly new thing. That's like, I'm going to be anywhere and everywhere, hopefully. Um, and, and so it's just that the awakening of just getting off my butt and doing something out of my comfort zone just
Right.
unleashed that.
Well,
And
that right. I mean, that's actions, doing something new and different, you know.
yeah,
That it does take us to a different place. Like, I'm in a whole different location and place myself. So, it's got a whole different flavor to it, like things still evolve and I mean, we change. I mean, and for the better, usually, we learn more things about ourselves. I think we're just on a constant journey of learning about who we are,
yeah,
and
I agree.
those places that, like, you're finding now you're bored with your comfort zone. So now you're like, oh wow, I have this whole other piece of my personality now that I can tap into. That's going to be really exciting to hear, how you journey through that. So,
Well, and it
and
all
then it's like the monkey bars, right? Getting across.
no, explain that one to me. Like you get stronger, or one ring
Like the
leads to
monkey
another
bars,
one.
right? They're rings. They all connect. I mean, you can't you have to let go of the old ring to get to the new
Oh
one.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's good. I like
So
that.
so you're monkey barring it.
I am.
So-
And the other thing that's interesting is that it really does, I've always believed, and now I'm connecting with, it's mind, body, spirit, and they're all connected. So it also, so I had wanted to get into better shape before I went there. And so I hired a trainer. And so I started working out with a trainer, but I had some injuries, and that, it was a lot of up and down. And so that was frustrating, but
oh wow.
I worked through that. I didn't exercise, and I wasn't as healthy as I wanted to be in Mexico, but it was cool because I was walking everywhere and I was actually eating pretty good. And when I got back though, I was just like started eating everything, and then had another injury, sort of, back kind of stuff. And so it's so frustrating. But for me, it really is, if I'm going to just level up my life, I have to level up my health too. So leveling up your mental side, if your body can't keep up, then it's no
Right.
good. So,
Right.
I just hit the big 6-0 this year, and I'm like, I don't feel it mentally, but I want to make sure my body can catch up. So I'm back with my trainer. I actually hired a nutritionist too, because I realized that, as we've had talks about this, and as a former, nutritious counselor, I knew all the stuff to do. I just
Well,
needed
right.
accountability, and I needed
Right.
someone to kind of push me again. And
Right.
so I kind of
It's
put,
accountability and consistency.
and so
Yeah.
I recommend people hire Sandy, hire somebody to just help you kind of recharge again, because it had been a while since I've done that. But I'm just no longer willing to live in that old self. Once you kind of level up and you get a taste of it, you're like, nah, I don't want to go back there. And I knew that
Right.
that part of it was holding me back. So now I'm just like, what can I do? What can I figure out to make sure that I can level up my physical body too?
Well, so tell me how you've transitioned out of the pandemic too. I mean, because we
Yeah.
were in the trenches there for a while in the
Yeah.
beginning. And, I had a different mindset, I think, than everybody. But
Well, not everybody. I mean, you had a mindset. You had a mindset. That's true.
I had a
Um,
mindset.
but you had a
Yeah.
mind. But a lot of people agreed with you. Obviously, I was of the much more conservative mindset, and I'd had some
Right.
health
And I wasn't.
issues
Right.
before, and I really did hunker down, for that good year. And it was interesting because I'd get on Facebook and I'd look at your page and different pages, and I'm doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's like I'm stuck in here. But it really wasn't like that. I had made a conscious decision, and I really was okay with it. That this is what I was going to do for a short term, and I hunkered down and played by the rules for a while. Although I still got out. It's like I work out of coffee shops, but they were all closed. But I found a little coffee shop in the corner of a grocery store, a Hy-Vee grocery store, and it had a Starbucks in it, and it had a little corner bar, like a eatery area. Nobody was in there, so I would go there because I was like, I couldn't
Well, there
stay
you
in my
go.
apartment, and it would just drive me crazy. So I
Right.
found ways to do it and to be safe and so on.
Yeah.
But I did isolate, and so that was part of the Mexico thing. Was like just kind of like, oh my god, I gotta get out and travel and go. And I've always we've had interesting talks about this, but I'm a big vaccine believer, so I totally vaxxed up and felt good and confident and went out there and lived life. And so for me, the hunkering down. In fact, I actually did a presentation at a couple local networking events about this. The emerge, I called it emerge, and it really was about when the I'll just say the universe kind of throws something major at everyone, and everybody's having to deal with it. Um, but
Hmm.
but because the governments the businesses closed down and we were really literally shut down, it was a great metaphor for like when things opened up again, like spring, like rebirthing, right, and
Right.
emerging into this new. And I felt
Right.
that hugely. And so right after that first year, during the middle of the pandemic, as I told you, I was planning to move back to Montana where my family is. So I'm like, well, I
Hmm.
don't really have anything going on here, and I might as well move. But as spring came last year, I started kind of like getting out more, doing things. And then I went to Montana. I'm like, no, I just didn't feel like it was the right moment for me to actually
Yeah.
pull the trigger on that. So I came back
Yep.
to Kansas City, but I knew something was still kind of missing, and that was what this trip kind of evolved into. So for me, the pandemic really shaped a lot of where I am now.
So how long were you there? How long are you
I
in
was
Mexico?
there a month and a half.
Wow. That
Yeah,
is
so
that
it
is
was,
amazing.
and the thing was, I want to go back. You asked me before we started, are you going to go back? The answer is yes, because I didn't do a lot of things I wanted to do. I was really just dealing with the culture and trying to kind of figure out like what my next step in life was. And I can sit in coffee shops or wherever and just work, on my computer for hours and hours. So the idea was, I'm not big on like rushing around on vacations and trying to see everything. Like when I had the opportunity, I would go do some things. And I did a few of them, but I definitely wanted to do more now that I've kind of got that first experience under my belt. But now joining the travel club, I'll be able to go to lots of different places, and I'm kind of
That's
excited about
great.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
great. I'm so glad. And thank you so much for agreeing to come back on here with us and giving us an update on what you're up to and how you're doing. And so, new book is going to be, or no, it's not a new book, it's a course
yeah.
about,
It's an online program right now. It's called Crypto for the Rest of Us, and
okay.
that really is the theme of it. It's like if you've heard about crypto or you're thinking about it, but you don't know anything about it, or you think you're afraid of it. That's what I really want to do, is to teach people that it really is um, not that bad. You have to pay
Hmm.
attention because you are your own banker, and there's no help desk to call. Like, once you get into
Yeah.
crypto, you can take and have lots of rewards, but you got to, store your password. So I really teach people really sort of a safe and slow method. I'm not like, here's the next big way to become a millionaire. No, it's really about, you should be thinking about another asset class, maybe even move some of your retirement in there.
Right.
And then if you catch the bug, like I did, and like a lot of people do, you'll see there's all sorts of things. I'm sure some people have heard of the NFTs. That's like the hot new word, which is crazy new stuff about artwork being sold for, millions of dollars digital art because it's on the blockchain, which is part of crypto.
Yes, yes, I've heard
Crazy
of
stuff.
that. Which I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but it's
so
the
my
new
question,
world.
if you went back and read this book again, do you think you would get new takeaways from it?
Oh yeah, it's funny. I um a lot of times I will go back and I'll look through it and I'll see something. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm not following what I was preaching, and I'll be reminded of things and I'll look back like, oh, I need to start doing that again. Or yeah, that was good. Why am I not doing that? So I mean,
Right.
it's still valid, and I love to write, and I will continue to write, and I still love the whole spiritual awakening and life coaching realm. And me, I dive into a topic big, and then I'll probably move into the next one or combine them, or
Right.
who
Nothing
knows.
wrong with
But
that. Some of us jump. So,
yeah.
if anybody's watching, do you have any questions for Scott while he's still on here? Um, so yeah, we did lots of different shows when you were with us. In fact, here locally, do you remember Dr. Erica Steele? Do you remember us
Oh, did we have her
interviewing
on the
her?
show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's had lots of interesting and exciting things happen. So look her up again.
Okay.
She's went on to a big syndication, a couple
Oh, wow.
syndication shows. So she's getting her information out there, and I definitely support her. And
Yeah. What are you
yeah,
doing these days? What's your
yeah.
focus? What are you
What's
focusing on?
my focus?
I know I've been hearing like you're still doing lots of
This
different
is
things,
this
but
is my relaunch of Awakenings Within. I
yeah.
had taken a sabbatical, pretty much, because I didn't have my things to do it, and I just wanted. I know it sounds crazy, but even just having books that I needed and different things to access while I do these shows, and to have all of my equipment. So now I've got it back to where I can start doing this again, and looking forward to having more guests come on, talking about different awakenings in their lives. Um, this show, just like life does, metamorphose. It's a metamorphosis. So it's transitioning into something else, maybe. And things don't always stay the same. They can't.
Right.
Things can't stay the same. I mean, we began this show during the beginning of the pandemic, and it was to help people because of fear and anxiety and all those things. Not that that's gone away. People still have fear and anxiety, but it's a different focus now. So um so this show is going to take a different turn on focus as well.
Do you have any
So
ideas? Like, are there any areas or topics that you're more interested now that you would focus
well,
in?
um, I mean, it's still faith based, so it still is gonna the roots of it and structure of it is still faith based, and people's journeys. I want to hear people's stories. I want to hear how they've journeyed through the last 3 years. Actually, I want to bring some people on and talk about that journey, because it's affected all of us in a different way. Kind of, I want to do a recap of like coming out of it a little bit, and finding out what people are doing going forward. And so, hopefully I will have our other co-hosts back on too as a replay, and catching up with them. And I just want to thank you so much, publicly, Scott, on how much you helped me and helped with the beginning of this, and helped me become a live streamer, because who knew that I never knew that I liked it.
I know. Well, you're so good at it. I mean, you're so good at it, and you just have to be natural and be curious and ask questions, and that's what you do really good. And what I really liked was the fact you just jumped in. Like, we kind of jumped in together,
Yeah.
and then when I moved on to something else, you just like jumped in, and I was always so impressed by that. You just like put stuff together and just put it in there and just jumped in. It didn't stop you, and
Yeah.
that's what it takes. And then you just
Yeah, and
grow. And
now, I mean, I've joined a couple live streaming groups since then. Of course, one
yeah,
told me to join, and I've met some really amazing people from that group. And then now I'm
yeah,
on to the other group, the Grow Live Academy, and Ken Walls has helped me immensely
Yeah.
in my live streaming and connections and that. So, I mean, even though we were all closed in, I didn't feel like I was. And I'm so much of an extrovert that I needed that connection, with
Yeah.
other people. And this has been a great outlet for that. And, it is something I just love other people's stories. I mean, that's really the crux of this show, awakening within. Okay, all of our awakenings are different. Like
Yeah.
they're not all the same. We're not cookie cutters. We're all unique. So, how things affect you affects me differently, and how I look at something perspective wise, you look at it differently. So, I like that. I think that that's great to hear somebody else's perspective. And sometimes I think that I have my mindset on something until I listen to somebody and hear their perspective. And I'm open enough to say, hey, I I kind of agree with that now, kind of thing. So I think that we all, and that's part of this. I just want us, to continue to be kind to one another, to be peaceful, and to be open-minded. But also sharing our faith journey, also sharing our walk, what we're doing, And I'm proud of you, Scott, for jumping out there and doing something out of your comfort zone, you know. And
Thank
then now
you.
you have a newfound, hobby, so to speak.
Who
You
knows? I
never know.
mean,
You might start doing a blog, a travel blog. Who knows? So you guys
yeah.
keep looking
Well, I
out
mean,
for
the thing about
him.
it, it's going to combine. I mean, it's going to be a great chance just to get out and talk to everybody about crypto. I'm kind of, evangelist now. Once you kind of get bit by that bug, because it really, the thing about it, I can talk a little bit more, just generally, and the thing about it is that it's a tool for world good, because it's really meant to open up and to not have authoritarian organizations or governments in our business, really, or big, Facebooks and Google, because the whole concept of cryptocurrency is to be transparent and that you have no controlling organization over your money. And really, that's what sort of keeps us
That's
alive. And
interesting.
the
That
thing about
is.
like even in the war, I mean, when Ukraine couldn't, when their banks were blown up or whatever, people didn't have money, they could still get crypto to help them support their lives and to help them, support even their arms, because they couldn't get money any other way. And
Huh.
so crypto's not governed, traditional crypto is not governed by any government or authority. It's really the money of the people. And so there's this whole side of people that are really zealots in that area.
Wow.
You get them talking
I
about,
was unaware.
oh, you
Okay.
get them talking about sort of that traditional, Bitcoin mentality, because that's why it was created. It created out of the 2008 financial crash of the world. And he's like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so right now it's in a hybrid. You still have to go through, to make it easy to get your money and buy crypto. You still have organizations that have it. But the true idea is, once in the cryptocurrency world, it's your money, you're your own banker, but you have to be responsible. And so what I help people try to do is understand that you have complete control now. Nobody can take your money away from you. And if you think about it, you're earning like less than 1% in a bank right now. You can earn 10 to 20% in the same kind of savings vehicle in a crypto asset,
Wow.
with no risk. So it's a lot of upside to it. There's a lot of ways that it can help the world in a lot of different ways. Um, I don't know. So I don't know if you have time or you
Hmm.
want to do it, but like, how is the war dealing? Have you been talking about that? And because I
I haven't. I just relaunched today. So you're my
okay.
first guest. So no, we haven't talked about anything like that. Yeah, because I am kind of out of the loop of it too. Uh, I just moved into a new place, and news and all that stuff. So I've kind of been out of the loop of it. So I don't know what's going on currently. What is going on? I'm not even sure.
Well, I just think it's interesting. I mean, Russia, of course, invading Ukraine. What I felt, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, was that there's been wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and, the Middle East and a lot of different wars. This one feels a lot different to me. It feels really more like close to home, because when you see the
Huh.
images on television, they look more like cities like we're aware of. It's like sometimes in the Middle East, the cities don't look the same, and you kind of see a bombed out city and it's kind of felt distant, like, well, that's really not our lives. But when you see like a European city like Ukraine, which is right in the middle of Europe, or not in the middle, but right there, part of Europe, it really starts to hit home that it's, and so people are suffering, and it's just, it's war like any other war, but it feels closer.
Huh.
And I mean, the whole thing about how close, like, think about what like Europeans feel like, that's right on their back door, and so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is affecting our economies, greatly, because our inflation. That's the other thing, Sandy, is, I mean, I come from a background of a family of bankers, and
Right.
I was the black sheep. I was never into
Oh
banking.
yeah. Now wait a minute. Now I'm thinking about this. Yes, you're kind of going
It was really weird because I didn't like talking about finances and stock market and
right.
investments, because I was just really not my thing. But when I kind of got the crypto bug, it just flipped a switch, because now that I want to help people, and I really want to help people, like if they're feeling stressed out about the economy and about the dollar and about the economies all over the world, crypto is a place of safety, and it's
So
a place
so
they can
so
turn to.
crypto it has a stability to it.
So it's interesting. It's a very volatile market, meaning the prices go up and down, because it's kind of got its own
Okay.
thing. The stability of it comes that it's not going to deflate like the dollar.
Okay.
And so when the government prints money to bail us out and bail the banks out, and and those kind of things,
Right.
they're just devaluing the dollar, and
Right.
and
And
now
causing
inflation is
inflation.
starting to
Right.
rise.
Mhm.
And so crypto is a place where that doesn't happen. That you're still gonna have volatility up and down, but it's a place, especially like with Bitcoin, you can put your money in there, invest in it, and know that the value is only going to go up. It's not going to rise down. Now price can go up and down, but it's like
Okay.
gold. Like the value of a bar of gold is still going to always
So
be
the
valuable.
price goes up and down, but the value doesn't.
Yeah, the value is just,
Okay.
and value really is what people
See, I know
agree on.
nothing about this. Like not
Well, what was
nothing.
interesting, as I was saying, was that I've had to go back and relearn like basic financial principles, like what moves economies, like why does inflation happen, and
Right.
because I really want to be able to answer questions to people that are like, well, why should I move into crypto, and really it's that the current economies, the way they're set up, like up until 1971, the dollar was backed by gold. So if you had this dollar, you believed it was valuable because there was gold in the bank backing it
Right.
up. After
Right.
71, they got rid of the gold standard. So our dollars aren't backed by anything. They're only valuable because the government says so.
So
Well,
you mean that joke about Fort Knox is not funny anymore?
it's not funny anymore because it's not real. It's like there may be some gold
Darn.
in a tunnel somewhere, but it's not real. And and
Wow.
so that's the thing about it. So there is a lot of fear, and that's one thing. So as I transitioned away from maybe spiritual awakening life coaching, now it's really more about, I just want to help people feel comfortable, and now sort of in their finances in a
Well,
place
I
where,
mean, I hear what that you're feeling like it's helping people in different ways. Not it's
yeah,
not like you just said, if they could get crypto in the Ukraine instead of the regular
right,
money, I mean that did make an impact somehow. That's really interesting to me. I'm gonna have to go look that up now. So
yeah, look that up. And then so on the other side was interesting because when they put all the sanctions on Russia,
right,
and crashed the Russian ruble or whatever, and but they could still get Bitcoin. So it was kind of interesting because it's good and bad. It still meant now the Russian people could get Bitcoin, but in a way, for the Russian people,
it's
that
not the
are just
Russian
people like
people's
us,
fault.
they
Right,
need to have a way. So they've been able to sustain through Bitcoin
right,
and through cryptocurrency too. Now some
right.
of the
They're
oligarchs have,
not
have been able to get
right.
some too, and so it goes both ways. But basically, this is an area where it isn't controlled by governments, and so I think
Okay,
that's a good thing for most of us.
right.
Now the government is going to try and get their hands on it, because it's taking away their control, and they
Right.
don't like
I've
that.
already heard them trying to put some sanctions or
Yeah,
some rules in or guidelines. Yeah.
and they're going to do that, and it probably
They're going to
needs some, because it
try.
is the wild, wild west out there, and that's the other thing that I hope to help people. It's like it's confusing to get into it, and it's not it's not uniform yet. So I kind of through lots of trial and error and finding a few people found a way. So I really help people like walk them through making them comfortable to get into it,
That's
and then just
really
see if now how do they feel about it. And I think that for the people that think that, a lot of people say, well, the government's going to shut crypto down, they're going to shut Bitcoin down. Well, that ship has sailed. It's not going to happen.
they
It
can't.
is robust.
Not if
Bitcoin will
they
never
can't
go
touch
away.
it. How can they? Yeah.
Well, they can try. They can make it harder to get into Bitcoin. They could make it hard to like access your Bitcoin and shut off access at different places. But there's always ways to get in
True.
sort of the back door. They can't really ever get rid of it. And they're going to regulate it a little bit, but we just have to stay on top of it. And my philosophy is go slow, start off with little bits of money. Don't, make sure you keep your
Right.
passwords safe. And no, it really is more than just like a money thing for me. It's really about helping others in just a different area than I was before.
Well,
And
I find that that's really neat. That's really intriguing. So I'm so glad that you shared this because now I don't know I don't know about anybody else, but now I'm going to go check out some Bitcoin.
yeah, all right,
Find
we'll
out
get
what
you
it's
figured out,
about.
Sandy.
Huh?
We'll get you figured out. We'll connect
Yeah.
you up.
Yeah. Because I mean, you hear these things, you're like, yeah, I hear about it. I don't really know about it, you know, and I've had people, in my inbox, go, hey, do you know about this? And it makes it sound like it might be scammy. So,
Absolutely, and
you
it
know,
is. There are. It's just like anything on the internet, right? People are going to take advantage of anything, and this is new, and people are exploiting it. And there are some people that are really pouring on the fear. Like I've been seeing some videos and people that are selling like crypto investments, but they're really trying to scare people like, oh yeah, the economy is going to crash and you better be ready and you better move all your stuff into crypto. No, and I'm not in that at all. It's like,
right,
just be aware of it. And here's another place to go and start off slowly. Kind of just don't be afraid of it anymore, and put a little bit in there and see what you think, and then slowly get in there, because I think it does provide a little bit of security, because there is a lot of unknown, right, in the economy and
right,
with inflation and the wars. um,
right.
but we don't need to scare people, because we've already been through enough.
Yeah, yeah. What? I don't know. Are we are can we be scared anymore? I'm not sure.
I don't think
So
so. I don't know. Maybe we're all tough enough, but I
I
mean,
think I
as
think we've been
we
tough.
talked about this, and a lot of people have. There's a lot of people that are mentally scarred from all this, in lots of different ways. And
Absolutely. A lot of things
yeah,
happen to their family members and all these
yeah,
things. So, I mean, definitely don't take it lightly. So,
right.
anyway, well, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
mean, I can't believe it. Our time is almost up already.
no,
So, already. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it. Time flies when you're having fun. So really good catching up with you. And
It was really good catching up with you. And so I just want to say I appreciate you and I appreciate, you being my co-host for that many months and
yeah,
all the
me
different
too.
things that we talked about, the different guests we had on. That was a lot of fun. And so I can't believe, this would be the third year going now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
So
mugs up. I always
crazy.
loved it. Mugs up. That was my favorite
Mugs
part.
up, man.
Ooh,
Yeah, I don't even have a mug right now.
I don't
What?
either, but that was one of
What?
my favorite things. I always know I'd see you and you'd say mugs up, even if you
Mugs
weren't
up.
quite ready.
Mugs up. I
You'd have your
know.
mug.
You're always welcome to come back on to share whatever your journey is. I would love to have you back
All
on.
right,
So,
we'll do it.
most definitely. So, if you guys are going to watch this on the replay, hit hashtag replay and say hello to Scott because I know y'all have missed him. So, thank you, Scott, for sharing where you're at now and what's happening. And thank you for educating me on crypto. I knew nothing. I mean, I had no
The
idea that's
wide,
what you were.
wonderful
I knew you
world.
were
Yep,
writing a book or something, but I didn't know what it was about. So,
yep.
but definitely check out his Hero's Journey book. This is like one of the best books. And I read a lot of books. I have lots and lots of books everywhere. And Not just because he was my co-host. This is an amazing book. This is life-changing. So go order it. Where can they order it, Scott? On
Well,
Amazon?
and the audiobook is out now. I have the audio version.
Oh, wow. And so jscottmcmillan.com.
Yep, they can still go there. Yep, or
Okay.
betheheroofyourlife.com, either one.
Yep.
Or Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. You can buy Audible version. That was fun
Yep.
doing the whole audio recordings for that.
Hey, you know what? I don't think. Oh, you did. You did sign my copy. I was
Of
going to
course I
say, I
did.
better have a signed copy.
Of course I did.
Anyway, so thank you so much, Scott. It was so great to catch up with you, and I hope to see you again. And I'm definitely checking out the crypto stuff. I mean,
right.
you've got me inspired. So,
Nice.
all right, you guys. If you want to be on Awakenings Within, you have something that you want to share with the world, please message me at awakeningswithin@gmail.com or come on to Awakenings Within Facebook page. So thank you so much, Scott, and you all have a wonderful evening. And I'm going to let our mind-blowing dizzy thing chase us out. So, all right, bye.